I guess most of my stories start off with the phrase, my car broke down, but this time the car didn't exactly break down. The engine, it fell out of the vehicle. Now, I don't know if you've ever had the engine fall out of your car or not, but trust me, it is a sight to behold. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I called up my oldest friend in the world who said he'd be glad to drive the 3 hours down from Atlanta to get to LaGrange. I sat on a milk crate and panhandled change. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to panhandle change when you're wearing a t-shirt that says, "Just say no to a real job." But the folks at LaGrange, they all seemed annoyed as I purchased a Schlitz malt liquor tall boy and went back to my milk crate where I had to wait. I shared my last cigarette with another vagrant who was peddling flowers, and we swapped stories and wasted the hours. And his story had it that these two guys got really drunk on Night Train and MD 2020. And they were riding on this boxcar, and they got caught and got into a fight and were thrown from the moving vehicle and were subsequently killed. And his story had it that their bodies were so polluted with Night Train and MD 2020 that when they were buried in a shallow grave outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin, nothing will grow there to this day. Well, I'm like you. I had to tell my friend that I did not believe his story, but I somehow thought it was beautiful.
But this is not a folk song. It's about the way I feel. Whether that's universal. Who am I to tell? It's not a folk song. But you're welcome to sing along. But it ain't got no harmony, and I think that's okay. 'Cause to tell you the truth, I'm not feeling harmonious. Anyway, hey.
The story is about my friend Frank. See, Frank, he's my oldest friend in the world. We did everything together when we were growing up. We even had rock wars against each other because, see, our buildings faced each other there in Stone Mountain. Now, we went to kindergarten together, and we went through puberty together, and we went through juvenile delinquency together. Hell, me and Frank, we even detoxed together. When Frank got there, he did what he does best. He didn't say a word. He just handed me a bottle of tequila, and we took off about 75 miles an hour past the Shotgun Distilleries, and I started laying it on real thick and heavy to my friend Frank about how I didn't think the past 5, now 6 years of my life amounted to a damn thing. Traveling around the continent, living in the back of a pickup truck, and maybe staying in homeless shelters, and maybe writing songs about the people that I meet. As I started getting real thick and heavy into my self-pity rap, I looked over to Frank for some kind of a response because he still hadn't said anything. And Frank, he just looked up, which made me look up, and I noticed for the first time these giant iron butterflies ejecting and rejecting their landing gear, which could only mean one thing, that we were headed towards the Atlanta airport, the world's largest airport. Now, that place has got a subway system in it that rivals the Atlanta subway system. Anyway, Frank, he exited there on the last remaining exit of Hateville, Georgia. We were on this little dirt road, and we were fishtailing along it until we came up to this chain link fence, and Frankie nudged the gate of that chain link fence with the front bumper of his car. That gate swung open, and we found ourselves no longer near the Atlanta airport, but we were in it. And I ain't talking about in the parking lot. I mean, me and my oldest friend in the world had managed to infiltrate Ground Zero, and we were now drag racing a 727. And I swear to God, there for a minute we were gonna win, because we were about flying. That is until we saw this other chain link fence coming up on us real fast. So Frankie locked him down, and he donutted around, fishtailed up alongside of it, hopped out of his car, reached in his pocket, and pulled out a little white piece of paper and undid a combination lock. Pulled that pickup truck inside. It was about a 20-yard squared-off area sitting between the runways of the Atlanta airport.
But this is not a folk song. It is about the way I feel. Whether that's universal. Well, who am I to tell? It's not a folk song.
truth.
I'm not feeling melodious.
Now, the reason that 20-yard squared-off area exists between the runways of the Atlanta airport is because it is a graveyard. And in the state of Georgia, you got to ask a family's permission to move a graveyard. My friend Frank's family did not give the Atlanta airport permission to move that tiny little graveyard. I looked down at the dates, and well, they were all there from before the Civil War. And if you know anything about the city of Atlanta at all, to find anything that's there from before Gone with the Wind is relatively significant. I looked down at one of the dates, and the one that caught my eye, it said, Emmanuel, age 7, house servant. And I went to ask my friend Frank about that, but he had climbed up on top of the tallest monument, so I climbed up there with him, drinking tequila with my oldest friend in the world, watching the planes take off so close that we could actually make out figures in the windows, so close that if I had a good healthy Gladstone like in the good old days, I could have taken out one of them windows. And we noticed from that height that the planes had to jog left and then dart right to avoid this tiny little graveyard. I started thinking about my measly 5, now 6 years of living on the road, how that might not amount to a damn thing, but here was the life of one 7-year-old slave who could change or at least slow down the steamrollers of progress 150 years after his death. And that, my friend, I thought was beautiful.
But
This is not a folk song. It's about the way I feel. And whether that's universal, who am I to tell? It's not a folk song.
but you're welcome to sing along. But it's played out of tune,
And I think that that's okay. 'Cause to tell you the truth, the whole damn world's out of tune.